Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Animate Orange, and this week in 3D metal model news. Honestly, there's not a ton of stuff to talk about. There's no new models to talk about anyway. Last week we talked about some leaked pictures from a toy fair. Nothing else has come of that since then. It's only been a week. It could take a while if anything were to come of it. I do hope at least some of those models do come to pass, but nothing new on Fascination's website as far as new models comes out, and nothing new in any of the worlds of 3D metal model. AliExpress, Crazy Toys, MU's website, I'm not seeing anything new this week, so things are still very quiet. Though there is, not that there's nothing to talk about, there is something different about Metal Earth's website. I did notice when I was looking for new stuff that a lot of minor things had changed. And basically, to explain it, let's kind of go to their website now. Looking down the website, starts off pretty much the same. We did have a little bit of rearranging here. You know, the coming soon, what's new, that's going to change. Metal Earth Legends now is just the Flintstones, and if you click on that, it takes you to, if you click on View Models, it just takes you to the Flintstones model, so that's kind of interesting. There we go. But then we still have the Metal Earth Legends Collector's Quest down here. I'm guessing they still have some gold models left, or they just haven't updated. But if we scroll down, probably the most interesting thing to me is where we have this little lineup of different options. Iconics is gone. It now is Premium Series. So there's been rumors about it, there's been things suggesting it, but they have dropped the Iconics name, it seems, and they're just referring to the Iconics models as Premium Series. If we click on that, it brings us to the old Iconics page, but it says at the very top, Premium Series. So, one interesting little change. Below that, we have the lineup of licensed models, which has changed a little bit. I went and looked at the Wayback Machine, which is Internet Archive, just to see and be sure. The last capture they have of this website is from December of last year. They've gotten rid of a couple of things, or one thing actually. My Little Pony is no longer up here. My Little Pony used to be one of the icons. A lot of other things have been removed since before December of last year. But they've also squeezed in a couple of new, whereas previously they had 12 different icons or boxes here. They now have 14. Some of them are in the same order, some have been rearranged, but Ford is a new one. Ford wasn't there before. Gundam icon was not there before. Flintstones did not have its own thing there before. So they basically added in two new ones and replaced My Little Pony with another, and did a little rearranging. Another interesting thing, if we scroll down as well, is the classic model lineup has changed a little bit. We still have Architecture, we still have Armor Series, we still have Aviation, however, and the Aviation's got a new background, or new image. Arthropods has been changed. We no longer have Bugs and Butterflies as separate categories. They've been thrown under Arthropods. We have Construction, which wasn't there before. Dinosaurs was. Musical was. Ships was, but Space has been split off from Aviation into its own category, which makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of different space things now. Always wondered, thought it was a little odd that it was stuck under Aviation, but whatever. Now they've separated it out. So they've separated Aviation into Aviation and Ships, and they've combined Butterflies and Bugs into Arthropods. And then we have Tanks, which has been there for a long time, Vehicles, Miscellaneous, and now Wild West, which is kind of new. And you scroll down, the Metal Earth Legends banner that used to be in between here is now gone, and the Metal Earth is now, instead of Iconics, is now Premium Series, like we talked about before. Like I said, there's a lot of minor things that have changed, a lot of graphic updates, things being shuffled around, categories combined, categories split. Just a lot of very minor changes, nothing new really as far as models coming out, but it's interesting that they've kind of reorganized and updated some graphics and this, that, and the other. So it's enough to certainly catch my attention and something to kind of talk about They've let some of the old stuff go and brought in some of the new. Really nothing unexpected. So that kind of brings me to the topic of the week, and last week's topic of the week, talking about those previewed models. I asked the question, which of the preview models are you most hoping do come to market? I got, of course, a few responses, starting with Johnny V. I'm really looking forward to the figures. That being said, those are the types of models that give people the most trouble. Hopefully they release some easier models along with the figures. And that, with the Star Wars models being so much more complex than any of the Metal Earth models before, or at least maybe not more than any of the ones before, but yeah, that's arguable. That's kind of arguable. The Star Wars models were a lot more complex, and a lot of the models are getting to be more detailed and more complex. I can see some concern that maybe things are getting too complicated to the point where fewer people can do them. So yeah, I dare say, with the figures coming out, they're also talking about coming out with some planes as well. The planes are probably not going to be as complicated. And the other thing that comes to mind is the Legends figures, which are pretty much going away. They've removed that whole Legends banner from their website. They've removed a lot of that stuff. The Legends stuff's been on its way out for a little while now. Those would have been the easier ones. It's kind of disappointing that they did as poorly as they did, though there were a lot of people that just didn't like them. So I see what you're saying there, Johnny B. CodeWiki comments, I'm going to have to go with the figures. Those look hard, but rewarding. If I had to pick just one, it would probably be Vader, but only because I just finished building the P-School Terminator model. Otherwise, the T-800 would be a tough competitor for my excitement. Understandable. CodeWiki is a friend of mine, and I've somewhat followed along with his building of the Terminator model. And it is a big, complex model. And if the one coming from Metal Earth is just the same, I could definitely see CodeWiki saying, yeah, let me do something different. Sometimes you just need a break from the complicated ones. I get that. Larry, good night. Mahalo for the updates, Brad. I certainly appreciate the news of the sales going on to save me money now that I'm hooked. We'll be watching for the Tuskegee P-51 and others well done planes, since some of my favorites did not look that accurate from the 360 views. I do enjoy mixing it up from planes, trains, autos, buildings, spaceships, etc. My worst so far was the exposed German U-boat that was my first ship model and 13th build. That I didn't get the hull shaped very well. That's why I enjoy mixing things up, to learn how to work on different shapes. Keep on keeping on. And I certainly respect that. Having this YouTube channel and taking requests and has led me into models that I might not have otherwise done, led me into different challenges and being experienced or exposed to different things, and I've enjoyed that exposure and I've enjoyed that challenge. It certainly brings something else out of the building world if you kind of go around and try different things. And speaking of the U-boat, I have the U-boat model. I got it not too long after it came out, but it kept getting put aside for requests and for other models that I was more excited to do, and I just still haven't done it. One of these days, hopefully, I will. But still, it's there. It's waiting for me. Just haven't gotten to it yet. Christopher Thorpe. Hi, Brad. Definitely hoping the Terminator model gets a release soon. Looks like a crazy amount of detail in it. Still hoping the teased Lord of the Rings models get released soon. Like I said before, with the Terminator, if it's anything like the P-School one, it is definitely loaded with a lot of detail, and wow, it's just a lot to it from what I've seen, if it's like the P-School one, or anywhere like the P-School one. As far as the Lord of the Rings models, there hasn't been a peep since those leaked pictures quite a while back. Not a peep. Wonder what's going on there myself. And that brings us to this week's topic. One of the things I was thinking of with my recent build, I've been working on 37 Ford, and we have right here. I'm still working on the build video for this model, but it kind of got me thinking about some of the classic cars that have come out. We've got the Duesenberg, we've got the Packard, we've got the new line of Ford models, which I'm looking forward to doing some of the other Ford model lineups, and they're all models that are set back in the 30s or earlier, and they're classic cars, and it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to having a collection of classic cars, and it gets me to thinking, what other models do I hope that they come out with? Having several different Ford models is really nice, but what about other manufacturers as well? Do you think we'll ever get any Chevy, old classic Chevy models, or maybe some old Dodge or Chrysler models? You think we'll ever get into the age of hot rods, into the 60s and 70s when we had Mustangs and Cudas and Trans Ams and things like that? There's a number of models that I'd kind of like to see. I used to have a 76 Trans Am. It'd be really fun to have a model like that to build. I ended up showing the 37 Ford truck to my brother, who likes old trucks as well, and he's really interested in it and basically said, when am I going to get mine? One of these days. Are there any classic models, classic car models you'd like to see? I'd be curious to know. Are you thinking like me? Would it be nice to have a whole garage of classic car models to collect? Would you like to see a particular manufacturer, a particular line of cars, a particular era of cars? Leave your answers in the comments down below. I'm just curious to see what you would say, and I'll talk about them next week. Beyond that, a little bit of a heads up. My health is still doing fairly good. I'm still on dialysis, though I'm managing that really well. Still on the transplant list, but honestly I expect to be waiting a little while longer. In a nutshell, the kidney function has improved, not to the point of getting off dialysis, but to the point where I'm in not as dire need as other people, so I may get passed up for a while, and that's okay. There's people out there that are going to need a kidney more than me, then they need it. And I'm doing stable and okay right now, and I'm okay with that. That being said, I kind of bring that up because this coming week I have several doctor's appointments to go to. It's coming up on time for my right heart cath to make sure the heart is still doing good. So Wednesday of next week I'll be heading to Pittsburgh for a 2+ hour drive to go get all that checked out. So that's my whole day going right there. There's some other doctor's appointments going on during the week. I have dialysis appointments on Tuesday. I have another doctor's appointment on Monday before all of that to get the fistula checked out, which, if you don't know, dialysis fistula is they merge to a vein in an artery so that you have an access point. I don't use it because I'm doing peritoneal, but it's there in case I need it, and it's been getting bigger, which has sparked some concern. So next week, at least the first half of the week, is just appointment after appointment, and it's certainly going to interrupt what I'm doing. I am working on the build video already for the 37 Ford. It's just a matter of recording the background narration and putting it all together. I should be able to get that done and up next week without much problem. The review hopefully won't be an issue, though it may come later in the week. What that will impact, however, is the time that I have to start the build for the next week. It's got to the point where a lot of these models are taking longer than they used to, so it's basically I try to come out with a new build video at least once a week. And this series of doctor's appointments next week could very much impact the following week after that. But just a heads up, I'm always trying to work on new models and new videos and new builds, and if at all possible I'll have something ready to go the following week after that, and so on and so forth. I've also been working on some updates to the studio, kind of automating things a little bit to make it easier to manage the amount of lights that I have pointed on me in the background right now. And I'm probably going to make a behind the scenes video about that for my Patreon supporters. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. That's enough for this week. I'll be keeping an eye out for new stuff for next week's news video, and I'll certainly see you there. As always, thank you to my Patreon supporters for continuing to support this channel so I can continue to do this, the build videos, the review videos, the news videos, and the occasional extra stuff. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your comments. Those of you who participate in the questions or topics of the week, thank you for that. It does make this video a bit more interesting. See you next week, if not sooner. As always, keep on keeping on.